You guys ready?
Yep.
You are up.
All right, welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau and Nathan on a Thursday, game week edition. Let's go right to the podium. Our defensive coordinator, Joe Woods.
You guys are down.
Hey, this is a tough offense to break in your NFL career against. I assume there's a package that he'll be involved in, at the very least.
Hopefully all of them, but no, we don't want to put too much on him. We know he's very talented, but at the same time, he's young. So when you see a guy like that, for me, you want to draw a whole bunch of things up on the board. But we're going to be smart in terms of what we ask him to do. We will match him up in coverage at times. We'll blitz him at times. We'll drop him in zone. So we're going to give him a little bit of everything, but not too much.
It wouldn't be covering Travis Kelce being
Probably. No, Travis is one of the better tight ends in the NFL. You're always going to have your hands full with them, regardless of who you put on them, linebacker, safety, DB. So there's multiple things we need to do just to help whoever's covering them out.
Well, does it help, though, to have JJ3, because he's such a talker, that maybe that'll help speed up this gelling process, I guess?
Yeah, all of it. You talk about JJ, all the guys, Troy, Anthony Walker, they do a great job communicating, make sure they're on the same page. We just want to make sure that we execute what we're trying to do and not beat ourselves.
Joe, the Chiefs can really run it up. We know that. The Rams beat them 54-51 a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What's it like to get caught up in a game like that they can draw a defense and an offense into a game like that?
Yeah, those are tough ones. Those aren't exciting for us. Like you see those games as being classics. That's not a classic for the defensive coordinator. So, you hope it doesn't turn into a game like that, but you understand that you have a very explosive offense. So we really have to rely on doing our job, try to keep a lid on the defense, and just be great making plays in space.
John Johnson mentioned earlier, Joe, that it's so tough with Mahomes because you think you have him down, and then all of a sudden he extends a play or he does those sidearm flips. How can you coach your guys to say, even when you think the play's over, it's really not?
Just in my past, when we play guys like that, the motto is you have to cover them twice, right? So initially, if you execute your coverage responsibilities, right, he may escape. Hopefully the rush gets him down, but you have to be ready to plaster those guys in coverage. So that's what we talked about all week. Everybody that plays him knows that. So we're going to have to do a great job, rush and coverage working together.
Joe, are the Chiefs the toughest team to scheme for just because of all the mismatches they can present?
I would say it's, first of all, you look at the ability they have at all their skill positions. Then it's what they do offensively. I think Coach Reed, Coach Bieniemy, they do a great job. They really scheme you up. They stress out your coverage. They make you cover the field vertically and horizontally. And then when you do it right, you have to make a tackle. So tough to defend, good scheme, good players. But we feel good where we're at, and we just have to execute.
They're now messing with a 4 tight end package now. Would you just expect to see that in the red zone?
You never know. With Coach Reed, just over the years, I think this is my 17th game coaching against him. So you never know. That can come out anywhere. That's where you have to be prepared to defend any personnel package, any place on the field.
Has he surprised you every time?
Huh?
Has he surprised you every time?
I try not to be surprised, but you just never know what's coming. But mentally, you just have to be prepared for it as a play caller.
When you and Stefanski reflected on last year and what do we need to do to get to the next level, maybe with Andrew Berry also in the room, the Chiefs game was the freshest in your mind. Did it have the biggest impact on what you guys did?
No. We want to go back and really look at the whole season, like areas where we can grow just in terms of personnel. For me, what we can do better scheme-wise. So for me, get into the scheme. We're trying to do a little bit more this year. Not all at once, but slowly put it in. But when you go back, you just want to add quality players at all levels of your defense. And I think that was a big factor, as well as guys that have played, a long time in this league that have experience.
Joe, kind of related to that, how much of a focus was it to add speed to defense? And then do you feel it out here? I mean, can you tell the difference already? You have to wait till Sunday to really feel it?
No, I definitely feel the speed. Just the guys we drafted, the guys we signed in free agency, In the NFL, you know, the game's changing. It's like playing basketball on grass, you know, against some teams. They want to spread the field, get you one-on-one, and see if you can make a tackle. So getting more speed, guys that have more cover skills, really at all three levels of the defense is critical in today's football.
Delpit has missed so much time. Is it realistic to carve a role for him in this game?
We'll have to evaluate that really day by day. He's been involved. He's been in all the walkthroughs. He takes reps out there, so he definitely understands what he's doing, but we want to make sure that he's healthy enough to play.
Joe, the Chiefs, I mean, obviously you guys saw it firsthand, but they throw so much eye candy at you with that motion and all the stuff they do pre-snap. How do you prepare your guys to kind of know what to believe, what to not overreact to, all of that?
Well, schematically for us, we know the issues that they present, but it's really about getting aligned, getting to your right spot based on the motion, and then getting focused in on your key. And it's hard against these guys, but that's what you have to do in order to have success. So we just have to be really good at executing our defense, regardless of how they get to certain plays based on shifts, motions, or just lining in a certain formation.
Their creativity in the red zone, they're the most creative team in the red zone?
There's a lot of creative teams, but they're right up there, you know, and they've been like that for years. They do a great job scheming you up, trying to take advantage of your coverage concepts or matchups on certain people. So you really have to be dialed in terms of what you're doing, and you really have to be, you know, detailed at every position in terms of gap responsibility and coverage responsibility.
Is Jadeveon back today?
You know, he's ill. You know, he'll be fine. I think last week, just going through all the practices, we installed some things, so hopefully we get him back here in the next couple of days.
With that, sorry, I mean, the guys behind the tack, you know, he missed that time. Like,
yeah.
How do you feel comfortable level with tack and then Joe Jackson?
I feel comfortable. We want to send waves of defensive linemen at people. That's the way we're built anyway. So I feel comfortable where tack's at. Joe Jackson understands the system, and again, hopefully we get JD back here in a day or two.
So you're not worried about him not being in?
No.
Yeah. Joe, do you have a sense for the kind of the team's collective mindset going into the season, and how important is Kevin Stefanski in helping shape that?
Oh, Kevin is huge. I mean, he's done a great job, you know, ever since, you know, he got here. I think he established a culture for the entire team. We talk about it every week. And so the guys have the right mindset in terms of how we have to approach the game. And I think for us, it's always about working and doing what we do better. You know, it really comes down to about how we play against our opponents.
And Greg Newsome said he expects to be targeted. He's a rookie out there. You expect that too. Are there certain teams, coaches, and quarterbacks who identify the targets pretty quickly?
Yeah, a lot of them. They see it's like a bullseye out there. But Greg's a very confident player, a very smart player. You know, he's going to execute his responsibilities. And with young guys, I've coached a lot of guys out there, you just get better with time. You know, it's the reps. You can try to get them prepared, but until you get him out there and the lights are on and you feel that pressure, right, there's things he's going to do, and, you know, he may not do it perfectly, but we'll be able to correct it.
But you feel he's as good as he could be without having played a game yet?
Yes.
There's so many crazy stats for Mahomes and just the plays that he makes. What's the thing that you think is the toughest thing about him to defend?
Just keeping plays alive.
Yeah.
You know, he extends plays. And it's the whole thing of covering him twice. Because you can do your job perfectly, the rush can be perfect, and he'll find a way to escape. So you have to be able to plaster. But he's very creative in terms of, you know, making plays when he's on the move.
Hey, Coach, in the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers were able to get him to move off his spot, and they had him scrambling. Did they show anything there that maybe other teams have picked up on in a way to get to Mahomes?
No, I think most teams kind of do what they do. And I think part of the scheme with Tampa, I haven't studied them, but you feel like they were doing what they do best. And I think they, you know, got a lead on those guys early, and then they were able to rush and play good coverage. So, you know, we look at the game like everybody else, but we would want to make sure we stay true to what we do. And, you know, if there's anything we can take from them, we'll take it.
What does that new Chiefs O-line show you, right? I mean, it's almost a completely new.
Big, strong, physical, can block, you know, so they do a good job keeping Mahomes clean. But I think it's their whole offensive concept. Just a mixture of the run game, the RPOs, the play action. They do enough of everything to keep you off balance. But those guys have done a great job so far in preseason from what I saw.
Kind of off that, Scott's question about them playing so much, was it good thing that he replayed a lot of the starters, or is there a balance of saying it is just preseason when looking at a brand new roster like that, or the offensive line?
I think part of that was, and obviously I don't know, but part of that was probably figuring out how those guys play together. So that's probably where they played a little bit more in the preseason. He normally does that with his starters anyway. But like I said, they seem like they gelled just looking at them, just running the system. So we're going to have our hands full with those guys for sure.
Very good. Thanks.
You guys are up.
Minutes.
All right, man. Let's get it. All right. We're off and running.
Let's get it indeed. Our defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, there at the podium moments ago. Beau and Z here with you on a Thursday. Busy program. A little bit of tail of the tape, a little behind enemy lines, all sorts of fun for you. But in terms of what Coach Woods just said there, Z, what jumped out for you?
Well, that we're going to stay true to who we are on defense and that we've got to go out and play our game, obviously complimentary of the Chiefs' offensive line, the new-look offensive line that's going to start 3 rookies. The question is, can we exploit that? And do we have the guys up front? I thought he said the good things, obviously, about Clowney, that he expects him to be back later this week, and no concerns right now about his availability for Sunday, which is important because this game, I think, is going to be won and lost for the Browns' defense at the point of attack and their ability to get after and disrupt Patrick Mahomes against that new-look offensive line.
We talked to Paul DePodesta yesterday, and he talked about how this defense hasn't been able to play together.
Yep.
And that certainly is something. That's a thing. It's not a thing. It's a thing. But also, let's remember that defense is not offense. You're not worried about timing. You're not worried about rhythm. Defense is pretty simple. Get lined up right. Know what you're supposed to do. Tackle ball. That's it. In terms of the timing of it all, there isn't that. You don't have to worry about that. In that sense, defense is pretty simple. The getting lined up part, get there. Know what you're supposed to do. Those things. But it's not offensive football in that sense. It's something, but it's not as big of a thing as if an entire offense hadn't practiced together or hadn't played together in camp.
No, but this is a team that is going to test your communication as a defense, and it is a team that is going to test your eyes, all the window dressing. And Joe Woods talked about that in his press conference. We heard Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, when I talked to him yesterday, mention that. And so it's going to be about that communication and recognizing and making sure that you're seeing the things that you should be seeing and ignoring the tricks that they're trying to play on you with some of that window dressing and eye candy.
Which is why I think it's the perfect opener for us.
It's a great test.
It's an appropriate opener based on what we did a year ago and based on what we did this offseason. It's a perfect test for this defense. What you want early in a season as a coach, obviously you want results. But the next thing you want is teachable moments if there are some. And if those happen in wins, awesome. But even if they happen in losses, there's great benefit. Look, this is week 1 of 17, man. Yep. Like this is if you couldn't have picked a better opener than this one.
I agree with you. Number 1, it's a good kind of barometer game. Number 2, there's going to be great teachable tape against somebody that you're probably going to see again if you get to where you want to be this season. I think that's just a fact of the matter. So from that standpoint, it's good. The other is this is a team that's coming in with a lot of hype and a lot of expectation, and there weren't many scenarios feasible outside of a division. I'm happy this is not a division game. Yeah. But where that you would be an underdog, let alone a 6-point underdog, but just an underdog in general with this football team. And so this is a great, I think, starter because for a season that feels like with the pressure of expectations, right? This is a game where some of that pressure is alleviated because they're supposed to win this game.
That's right.
But we have every opportunity to go out and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's what's going to be fun to see. The progress, the evolution on offense, and then also what this new-look defense can do against an incredibly talented offense.
All right, lots to get to on the program today. It is matchup day. We do our defense versus their offense and vice versa. Adam Teicher will join us coming up at the 2 o'clock hour. You'll hear from our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. We will go around the league. Football is back from an NFL perspective tonight, in fact. So lots to get to, lots of fun for you on the program today. Off and running, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Time for your OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider, your Cleveland Browns. They have all the X's and O's for your office. You can give them a call at 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Let's take a look at the injury updates after yesterday and as we get closer to our game, and then we'll get into a little bit of the Bucs and the Cowboys tonight. In terms of limited for us, Odell Beckham Jr., Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, of course, Hollywood Higgins, Troy Hill, J.C. Treader, and Greedy Williams, all of those in the limited camp. And for Kansas City, Frank Clark limited with a hamstring, and McCole Hardman with an oblique among the notables there. But this is something that we've been dealing with kind of in camp of feeling like, hey, everybody should be there who we think's going to be there, but we're getting close.
We're getting close, and I think that, we want to see these guys. I'm not sure what kind of a role Grant Delpit would play in this game anyway. I don't know if this is the environment that they would want to just trot him out there for his first snaps. Ronnie Harrison had been not on the injury report until yesterday, so that's something that we'll watch for today. And assuming that he goes through practice today, I think you'll feel great that he'll be starting alongside John Johnson as normal. Hollywood, Troy Hill, Treader, Greedy, Odell. I think you feel pretty good about all those guys being ready for Sunday.
Yeah, and you're going to you want the full deck of cards to take on this Kansas City team.
You need it. All hands on deck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how do you try and wrap your head around what I'm about ready to say? Tonight,
I can't possibly know yet, but I'm excited.
Tonight, Tom Brady.
That's right.
Will start season 22 in the National Football League. 22. The average NFL career is 2.5 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
This is season 22. It is his 300th start at quarterback. That's impossible. He's 44 years old.
There are 3 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame whose careers began after his. And remember, you have to wait 5 years once you're done to get in the Hall of Fame. I think they said it was Ed Reed,
Calvin Johnson,
and Polamalu, I believe, were the 3.
He does so as a defending Super Bowl champion.
Yes.
On the team that is, in most people's eyes, the pick to repeat, the favorite to win it again.
Yes.
It's impossible. This has never happened. I hesitate to say, though, that it will never happen again because it's probably easier now to play the position than it ever has. You really don't get hit playing quarterback anymore if you don't want to. If you're smart, you can avoid it. You can avoid getting hit. If you can now, the one thing that you can't, that he's just been so lucky, and he did miss an entire season with injury, but is just he hasn't had that upper body injury that Manning and others had with the shoulder or elbow or neck. But the way the game protects the quarterback now, if you can, and we're smarter now about physical fitness than we've ever been, staying in shape.
Yes.
Training year-round, how to manage that, diet, smarter about all those things. I can foresee players playing longer at that specific position, but I don't think you'll ever see anything like this specifically again.
I don't think you'll see 7 Super Bowls.
Well, no, that's done.
With one quarterback again.
No.
I mean, we all know, I think everybody here would say if you could have one quarterback on your team for the season. Now, there would be people who probably would say Brady just because he's won so much, but Pat Mahomes is probably the answer.
Yep.
Or Aaron Rodgers would be in that conversation.
Sure.
They've combined for 2.
Right.
It's hard. It is hard to win a Super Bowl, and it is unfathomable what the Patriots were able to do with Belichick and Brady, and then the sheer power of his person and the winning that is associated with his being allowed Tampa to just absolutely load up its roster, and nobody wanted to leave. They all wanted to play with him again for good reason. And so they have a chance to do something special, but no, it's wild.
To further hammer home your point on his championships, which it's impossible to wrap your head around, his peers during his time were Manning, of his prime, when he was peak prime, although he's still very, very good, were Manning and Roethlisberger and Rodgers and
Breeze.
And now Mahomes. If you want to have a combination of that, even Breeze, if you want to go there, Manning, Roethlisberger, Favre, and Rodgers combined have 6 Super Bowls, and he's got 7 on his own.
That's right. You need to go get a guy like Joe Montana
Not appear, though.
And his
not
4 to add up. No, not appear.
Great Belichick line on Montana. Peyton Manning was on Simmons' podcast. He was talking with Belichick and how Belichick basically just downplays everything. And Manning was like, boy, when you were with the Giants, how did you scheme up against Joe Montana? And he must have been unbelievable. And Belichick's like, I don't know. He's got Jerry Rice. You throw it 5 yards, Jerry Rice runs. And it was like, that was it. No matter who it was, no matter how great the person was, Belichick's response, and it wasn't just Montana, but I knew that would hit in your sweet spot. But there were others where he would do that, where it was like, well, how did you manage? How did you stop this? And it was very underplayed. Like, well, it's not that hard. All you got to do is throw the ball to here, and you do this.
So there's a list. I don't know who compiled it recently of the 100 greatest NFL players of all time.
Yeah,
Brady was 1. Jim Brown was 2.
Sure.
Joe was 6.
Okay.
That other guy that you love from your childhood so much, that lefty, not even in the top 40. So I don't even know where he was. But doesn't immaterial. I know where he wasn't.
He was not there.
I know where he wasn't. No.
Was Joe the second quarterback?
Peyton may have been ahead of him.
Yeah. But and by the way, with all of that being said about Brady and the Bucs and the defending champions, the opponent is the Cowboys. And we talked about them on Hard Knocks.
So I watched last night. I did watch it.
What did you think?
It's boring. It was a fairly boring show. I think Jerry at the end, which you mentioned yesterday, talking about wanting to win, was cool. I thought that some of the stuff they showed with the players that they focused on, the conversation with McCarthy and Kamara making the team, that was fun. We've seen all that. What I enjoyed the most was the trash talk with Dak and Cooper and Diggs, and then Diggs' kid meeting Dak Prescott, and that kid was great. Like I could have watched more of that kid. He was
give me more of him.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But other than that, it was from the football standpoint. I think they've shot it. It's all been shot really cool.
Yeah,
you've seen
beautiful.
It all.
The production value is incredible.
But you've
just done it.
We've done it. It's a show that we've done, and now teams are doing on their own, and in cases, getting even better access at times.
Well, you can't get better access than the Cowboys
well, from
gave
the
you.
Stars, they give you the Stars.
They gave you the Stars. They gave you Jerry. They gave you.
Oh, you know what else was cool? Micah Parsons with DeMarcus Ware. When he was showing him some of the hand fighting, and I thought that was really cool.
That was cool. No, if you're scripting what you would want out of the, from a marketing standpoint, you would want the Dallas Cowboys, and you would want those guys.
Well, if you just want to limit yourself to America. But if
true.
If you want the world.
Right. But there's a reason that every talking head sports show on television, if they can talk about the Cowboys, they do.
Yes.
And the reason that the Cowboys win or lose are on Sunday Night Football 6 times. Because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And even despite that, a little bit. What do you make of them this year, Cowboys tonight? It's 8.5. I know we'll do that later, but it
feels like a big number.
It does.
I feel like they can score the football.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they're going to stop people from scoring the football. That's kind of been their question, but it feels like they've got some players on defense.
Yeah, and it feels like from in my head, and I do no research on the scores. They're all gut feelings. There's no research.
It's just success.
In my mind's eye, it feels like the teams that get the Super Bowl Thursday night opener play incredible, and then oftentimes slump whoever they're playing. So, you kind of feel like that could be in play tonight for Tampa Bay. Kind of feel like that could be in play.
And oftentimes the scores for a Cowboys game are not what they would be naturally because they know there's going to be action on that team
that is
anyway.
A veteran scores play right there.
Yeah, so maybe is it
very
really
veteran.
10? Should it really be
What
10?
should it really be?
Right.
All right. That's a good job out of you.
Yeah, thank you.
If your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. Coming up next, it's matchup day, kids. Our defense versus their offense. Z Unleashed. Cleveland Browns Daily.
Let's
850.
go.
ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Imagine kicking back in the evenings in your very own hot tub. Fall's the perfect time to do it. Now imagine actually being able to afford one. Northeast Factory Direct. They buy the hot tubs by the truckload. You get a 6-person hot tub with the lounge and the lights, and you can still afford the rest of your activities for fall and into the holiday season. You think owning a hot tub would be a pain? Northeast Factory Direct hot tubs come with exclusive hardtop covers. You don't have to worry about safety or convenience. Plus, you're going to get a lifetime warranty on that cover. If you're looking for a way to stay active, amazing swim spas as well. It's a hot tub, but you can adjust the jets, give you that gentle current. You can use them year-round for exercise, relaxation. They're awesome. See for yourself. West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard and Euclid or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. It is our first matchup of the season. Dr. Z.
Let's go.
Our defense, their offense. Go.
All right. Well, look, this is one of the great offenses in the National Football League.
Ever?
I think that is well documented historically.
Yeah.
Yes, you could even say that. They were last year number 1 in yards per game, number 2 in yards per play. They were the number 1 net passing yardage offense in the league. Their quarterback accounted for about 330 yards per game himself, which was number 1 in the league. They allowed the 5th fewest sacks in the league. They're good. Number 3 on third downs. Excellent. This is an excellent offense. The Browns last year, 17th in net yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 21st in points per game. So we expect to be significantly better. We were 9th against the run. That was good. 22nd against the pass a year ago, but where the Browns were very, very good. They were solid in the red zone in the top half of the league there, and they took the football away, which was good. And in fact, for half the year, they were the number 1 takeaway team in the league. They had 17 those first 8 games, finished with 21 on the season before they got going again in the playoffs. But it is an elite offense. Last year, Mahomes 4,740 yards passing. Pretty good. Yeah, no, it's an elite offense, and that's what we expected. We know that. We know that this is an elite offense. No big deal, no surprise. And now it's for the Browns, this new look defense trying to contend with this offense.
When you think about how this all came about for them and the marriage of Andy Reid and what he was in Philly, and then drafting this kid and drafting him on a team that was winning the division, a team with a very capable quarterback, very solid quarterback, but still having the guts to draft him when you really didn't need him. You didn't need him.
Nope, didn't need him.
You didn't. He's fine. Alex Smith was more than fine, more than capable, and you're winning with him. And it would have been very easily to say, well, let's grab this and this. Let's enhance what we already have. And they saw something in Mahomes, who I remember you saying, this was before I got on the show, but that Greg Cosell said he was one of the hardest evaluations he ever had to do because he doesn't make sense.
There's nobody like him.
There's nobody like him. There's nobody who throws off platform as much as he does. There's nobody who throws from the arm angles like he does. I mean, he's basically doing a lot of the stuff that Favre did. Just it's more accurate. It's more cautious with the ball. It's at a higher level than Favre played at, but similar traits, similar unpredictabilities. Mahomes, in a sense, is a football unicorn because and that gets thrown around a lot, but he's worthy of it because you just have never had anybody drop as far as he drops and still be able to put the ball anywhere all over a football field. He can use all of it. And so you marry an offense that is, from the loins of Bill Walsh, and then all of a sudden you put this type of weapon in the middle of it. It just hadn't happened before.
No, there's nothing like this. Since 2018, he is first in the NFL with 37 passing touchdowns on balls more than 20 yards in the air. He's second in passing yards. He's second in completions of balls of more than 20 yards in the air. Tyreek Hill has 38 catches, 1,471 yards, and 17 touchdowns over the last 3 years on passes of more than 20 yards in the air. They are dominant. And we mentioned Tyreek Hill. Kelce set records last year, 1,400 yards. He didn't even play in the final game a year ago.
Right.
You look at Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce as a duo, second in the NFL with 192 catches, 2,692 yards. That's first in the NFL among all teammate duos, 26 touchdowns. Second. They were simply spectacular. It is a team that can beat you in every single way. throwing the football vertically. They can get down the seams. They've got McCole Hardman who has speed. Demarcus Robinson can make plays. This is just a darn good offense, and it's one that there are a lot of people thinking that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was kind of forgotten about last year, could have a monster season this year. And when I was going through some of the notes and doing some research on this game, I did not know this. This jumped out to me. This surprised me. Clyde Edwards-Helaire led the NFL with 682 scrimmage yards from weeks 1 to 6 in 2020. Le'Veon Bell made his debut in week 7. Before that, he was averaging 21 touches and 113 scrimmage yards per game. From after Le'Veon Bell last year, he averaged 59 scrimmage yards per game as his touches dropped from 21 to 13. Le'Veon Bell's not there anymore.
No.
They're ready to unleash him in year 2. He's somebody that we're not talking about very much, and another absolute weapon in this offense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire was hurt a little bit by what people thought he would do immediately in fantasy. And so it was almost like there was a fantasy skew of his production. It was like, well, people overdrafted him in fantasy thinking he would have that type of immediate impact. He didn't. And so then people kind of maybe downplayed how good he is and how good he will be in that offense. Now, and that's the other thing is you're going through the weapons. You think about the marriage of Mahomes and Kelce and Hill and Hardman. They have the perfect skill set for this offense and for his abilities.
Yes.
So it's all there. It's I think a greatest show on turf with those Rams teams in the 2000s and the way they were able to just kill you in 1,000 ways, and that's what this team can do. They can do that. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire part is a very fascinating part. What does that turn into? There is, and it was something that was very plainly obvious in the Super Bowl, there is an Achilles heel, and it's up front. Now, the biggest lesson I think you can make here is they have not been world beaters on the offensive line. Now, they've had Mitchell Schwartz, and he's one of the greats. But beyond that, they have not been world beaters on the offensive line for a long time. But you don't need to be. All you got to do is give Mahomes time to get to read number 2. That's all he needs.
Yep.
It's 1 and 2, and he's good enough to do the rest of it. But they were bad last year. They were bad, especially at the end of the year with the injuries.
They didn't have They didn't have either of their starting tackles, and they were wrecked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Super Bowl. And that is, if there's one area where the Browns must get the better of, it is the Browns' pass rush against the Chiefs' pass protection. And obviously in the run game, it's the Browns' ability to control the line of scrimmage and dominate that way. That's going to be defensively, you boil it down, the simplest stat possible, that's what it is. You have got to take care of what's going on up front for them and disrupt Pat Mahomes. That's it. Mahomes with no pressure last year, 71% completions, 116 passer rating. Mahomes with pressure, 48% completions, 73 passer rating. That's the key. They lost 2 games last year. Two. One in the regular season when Mahomes was the starting quarterback, and then, of course, the Super Bowl. Those were the games. Guess what? In both of those games, he was pressured on more than 30% of his dropbacks. To the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 5 and to the Bucs in the Super Bowl. That's it. They were 1 and 2 in games when he was pressured more than 30% of the time. In games where he was not pressured more than 30% of his dropbacks, they were counting the playoffs. Let's see, they won 1, 2. He was as a quarterback 17-0. 16-0. 2 in the playoffs.
And we have that memory of what Tampa Bay did, and you say, well, there's vulnerability there. But I think most of us would say that the Buffalo Bills have a very, very good defense and a very good football team. The week prior to the Super Bowl, 2 weeks prior, they played in the AFC Championship game, Bills and Chiefs, of course, a year ago.
They have a great secondary?
Great secondary. Mahomes was 29 to 38, 325, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Right. It's easier said than done. But that is the key. That's what must happen for the Browns to be able to take advantage and try to at least flummox Pat Mahomes a little bit. That's the whole key.
Tyreek Hill in that game, 9 for 172. Travis Kelce, 13 for 118 against the Bills in the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
So they are what they are. There is one thing that you ought to feel very good about if you're a Browns fan, and that is our front against their offensive line. It is it's funny and I know we'll flip it and do our offense versus their defense. To me, when it's us versus them in individual matchups, it's the one where one of the two teams has a significant advantage, and it's our D line against their O line. There's not another thing I look at and say, boy, that's a huge advantage, whether it's our receivers against their corners, their receivers against our secondary. That all feels pretty close. Slight advantage here, slight advantage there. Our defensive line should have a pretty sizable advantage on their offensive line.
And it needs to if we're going to win this game. I mean, it needs to come to fruition. By the way, Gibby, you should be happy. I even wrote notes for Gibby's little questions here. I actually read the rundown and followed them. So
what
Gibby,
a rarity.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, no, he did it all.
But really, kudos to me.
Well, just when I was going to say something, I'm done.
You're going to say something nice, weren't you?
Yep, I was.
Totally
not anymore.
I should have waited 1 second. Can you just tell us? Can you tell me what I missed? Like, what if I just kept my trap shut? What would you have said?
No,
you will not.
Sad.
Hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Hopefully, I earn it again.
That is the one matchup certainly. Greg Newsome.
Yep.
Starting in this game.
That's right.
Welcome to the NFL, son.
Yeah, he's going to deal with a lot. And I go back to one of the first things he told us about the biggest change in college, the NFL, is the way that quarterbacks try to manipulate you with their eyes and get you looking at the wrong spots. Pat Mahomes is really good. And with Patrick Mahomes, you know he's going to test Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome knows he's going to test Greg Newsome. And so I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a big matchup for him, that speed and handling that. But we'll see. This is definitely, if he can come out and have a solid game, it's going to do a lot for his confidence. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it sure would. I thought it was interesting when we were talking with Paul the other day, and we were talking about how much Kansas City influenced. And you think about Travis Kelce and what he does, and you think about the plan for him. I agree with you. He's the best non-quarterback, non-Aaron Donald in the NFL.
Yeah,
and
on offense, sure.
Yeah, he's that valuable. I think you had him MVP, non-quarterback MVP last year.
I did,
and I don't have a problem with that. I think it's appropriate. Good Cleveland dude. The drafting of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You think about the size and length of our safeties. You think about even Anthony Walker. A lot of guys 6'2", 6'3", a lot of guys who can run. What's the best attack for Travis Kelce? How do you attempt to limit his effectiveness? We had Denzel Ward on him in the playoff game at one time.
And
what are you going to
do?
do?
Just fine.
Did fine, yeah.
Travis Kelce said, okay,
Yep.
bring corners on me. I'm bigger than them. You've got to have somebody play incredible football, and really it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The only way to slow down Travis Kelce is to stop Mahomes from throwing him the football, which is going to be hard to do. I think, kind of just skipping ahead and the matchup to watch that nobody is talking about, and it involves Travis Kelce too, is I have a sense that Andy Reid is a very smart guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
I think that he is very cognizant of the fact that his offensive line could have some trouble protecting against our defensive line. And so I'm not expecting as many as maybe let's call it normal, usual for the Chiefs, time-consuming vertical routes.
I think that's a big brain on you that's getting to that conclusion. I think you're right. Look at that human.
Scarlet. So
the saunter on Scarlett's the key.
Tremendous.
It's a tremendous saunter.
It is.
Even when it's a moment of what you would say would probably be some sort of a hurried response.
Never hurried.
It's a saunter. It's a smooth southern
no fluster.
saunter. Never.
Yeah.
Steady.
Right. I'm not in a rush.
No.
Won't
Continue.
be in a rush.
Continue. Sorry.
So I think about, again, Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If the ball comes out quickly, the matchup that I don't think that people are talking about in the context of this game enough is our tackling in space.
Yeah.
We have not really our starters, we got a little taste against Atlanta, but we haven't gotten a full complement of going out and tackling to the ground, certainly not against the starters of the Falcons, and in this case, the starters of the Chiefs. If the ball's coming out quick and underneath, that means you need to tackle. We cannot miss tackles. How do you contain Tyreek Hill on these slants? As he said, throw it to Jerry Rice 5 yards and let him run. No, you tackle him, and you've got to be sure in that. Travis Kelce led the league in receptions of more than 20 yards, not because he was only catching balls thrown 20 yards down the field.
Sure.
He's great after the catch, too, and he's big and he's tough to get to the ground. tackling, to me, the Browns' ability to tackle their playmakers in space on short passes and, of course, in the running game, that's something that I don't think we're talking about that I think will go a long way, because I don't think Andy Reid's going to run a lot of just straight drop back 5-7 step drops and, huge play actions to try to throw it way down the field. Of course, they're going to take their shots.
Yeah.
But he has to know that when you're looking at their line and you're thinking about 3 rookies, especially on one side, what do we have to? We have to get the ball out quickly. That's the way to, stop the pass rush.
They're so great at this. You can, as you're saying that, you can almost envision it in your mind what they do. Andy Reid getting Mahomes at this part of his career has, without question, rejuvenated him.
Yes.
They are so creative in game planning. We did that. We've talked about that orbit motion that we ran with Demetric Felton down in Atlanta in the preseason finale. All of that stuff. They do stuff you've never seen before. Some of the times they'll line up Mahomes in these crazy formations going back to the 1950s. They do that type of stuff. All of that window dressing, all of those things on the side that they do. But for all of the talk of the deep threats that they do, it's also their screen game is elite. The receiver screen game, the tight end screen game, the bringing the guys in the motion right, throw back left, all of that stuff. They're better at that than anybody. And you're right. They're not dummies. They know exactly what's waiting for them up front.
Yeah.
And if it's healthy, it's a tremendous advantage for us. They believe in what they have in the offensive line, but that's going to take time. But the thing about them is, like you said, they lost 2 games last year. They've been the best team in the NFL the last 3 seasons. They've just won Super Bowl to show for it, but they've been the most dynamic team in the NFL. And you say to yourself, the reason that is, it's not because they can beat you any number of ways, multidimensional, and they will have a plan for it. It's a good job of you bringing it up.
And what do you think they have been thinking about since the Super Bowl?
Of course.
Why
can't we block? How do we handle it when we can't?
How can we still have success when our new look offensive line, even early in the season, is overwhelmed by an elite pass rush? The Bucs have an elite pass rush. We hope to have an elite pass rush. So they got, when you were talking about, this is week 1, even if we don't win, we have all this great teaching tape. They have
it.
Elite teaching tape for their offense from a game where they were wrecked by the opponent. And I don't think it's a surprise that the other time that they got wrecked up front, which would have been week 5, and I'm going to assume they didn't have a bye in the first 4 weeks. I'll just do this off of the top of my head. They may have. But let's say they didn't, so they lose week 5. They're 4-1 at that point. Patrick Mahomes then won 10 straight regular season starts and 2 straight postseason starts. So 12 straight games after a game where they were overwhelmed by a pass rush. And so this happens again in the Super Bowl. They are going to spend a lot of time. Yeah. How do we combat a team that is able to disrupt us up front? So they're going to be, even though you can say, well, we're just going to do exactly what Tampa did. They've been spending time trying to say, okay, well, this could happen again down the road. How do we still run our offense in light of that? And so that's why I think the matchup to watch that nobody's talking about is them getting the ball out quick and underneath and us having to tackle and limit the yak. And if we do that, I think they'll have to matriculate the ball down the field, which gives you more and more chances for that one big play that thwarts a drive.
So that's Troy Hill, that's Denzel Ward, that's
the
Greg
linebackers,
Newsome, that's Anthony Walker, that's Mack, that's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah,
JJ.
so 2 safeties. That's it. That's it. If you can get them down, you can have a chance in this game. It's fun. It's a fun matchup.
It's a great matchup.
It's a great matchup. Have you played with them on Madden, the Chiefs?
No.
I've only
the
played
Browns.
with us. Yeah.
Yes,
No
need.
No need. No. I just was curious if they are as fun on Madden. I imagine they would be. It would have to be pure joy to play with them, to spin it the way he did. It'd be like playing with a young Jeff George.
Basically. I mean, he doesn't have that sweet old school left drop back that Jeff George had, but he's got a lot of talent.
Other than that, it's very, very similar.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's going to be fun. It's also going to be fun to see, I think, for all of us, how our defense responds all together. We haven't seen them. We haven't seen them all out there. We haven't seen them all out there together. You're going to spend most of this game. Remember Joe Woods, how illuminating it was to us when he told us he played, 16 downs in dime?
Yeah, and wanted to do 400.
And wanted to do 400. Well, you're going to have a lot of dime in this game. then you have a lot of nickel and dime.
Well, you've got to.
That's all you're going to be.
You've got to. I think you're going to be in a lot of. Yeah, you could be in some 3-2-6. You could be in some nickel, which would be a 4-2-5. I think that there are a lot of options for the Browns in this game, but you're going to be number one concerned most with their speed and their passing attack. You'll be happy to seed a few decent runs as long as he doesn't bust one, which goes back to the tackling to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What you do not want to do is give up those big plays whenever they dial up their shot plays to Tyreek Hill and to Travis Kelce and Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson, all of them. You don't want that to happen.
Any drive that ends in something other than a touchdown's a win.
Is a win.
That's a win.
And if there was, and we'll talk about when we get to our offense, their defense, their defense did have one Achilles heel last year. Now, we weren't able to capitalize on it and put up the points we wanted. We lost a 22-17 game. You tell me right now, Chiefs are going to only score 22. I feel very good about our chances. This is a better defense.
Yeah, it is. Gambling without setting limits on how much you're going to wager or how long you'll play is like a football team going into a game without a game plan if you're going to end up in a loss. So always set limits before you bet. Get more tips like this at keepitfunohio.com. Coming up at the top of the hour, you'll hear from our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. right, second hour, Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop here for my friends at EOX Vantage. You got that local presence with a global footprint. Trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Daugherty, who is the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs at the NIP Group, saying, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage, if you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out, and they've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company, and we use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, programming capabilities. Technological expertise and experience working with global brands. We're absolutely thrilled with our partnership, and you can be too, and you can learn more about it. Check out EOX Vantage. Visit them on the line at www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. Again, that's 216. Local company here, guys. 216-298-1616. Before we get to AVP, at the podium, a couple of updates from today's practice. Jadeveon Clowney out again. Fields out as well. Done on the sideline. Clowney is the one that you circle there in the sense of not practiced yet this week, correct? With the illness? Coach said negative on the COVID test.
He was here on Monday.
Okay, there you go.
They had Tuesday off, and then he has not practiced the last 2 days.
And yep. Coach said negative on the COVID test, and so there you go on that front. And then Honey Badger still not cleared down in Kansas City, but vaxxed. And everybody that I've talked to down there anticipates that he would be able
to go.
So
and we'll get a little bit more,
maybe.
right? 245, Adam Teicher
will join us on that front. All right, here's your offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt.
You guys are down
Sunday to see if OBJ's out there?
Yeah, I think at this point that's where we're at right now. You know, he's out here in practice. He's done some good things. You know, just wait to the end of the week to see where he stands.
Baker said this week that some people forget how fast he is. We talk about his catching and his route running ability. Is that something that you guys were excited to see coming off the ACL injury, that he still got it?
Yeah, he definitely still has it. And there's no question. He's a powerful explosive when he starts to run and he digs in. He can fly. So having that speed back out on the field, you know, we're looking forward to that.
Not only with him, but Anthony Schwartz too. Like, just how does that help an offense to have multiple guys that can take the top off?
It does. It definitely helps. You know, you can't play short on those guys, so they can run right past you, and that's always a threat. And that's something that we have in our offense, the ability to go right by you too as well. So it definitely helps when you have multiple people that can do that.
Donovan mentioned Odell making a great catch the other day, and we saw him starting to take team reps at the end of when we were allowed to watch. But is he continue to ramp that up where he's out there more?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the last few weeks he's definitely been more involved, and you know, hopefully he feels well and everything goes smoothly and stays positive for this weekend.
Is that Chiefs defense underrated?
Absolutely. I think that's a good defense.
What do they do best?
They've been together for a long time. There's a lot of defense in that system, a lot of scheme. Coach Spags has done a great job. He's a guy that likes to pressure, and they bring it from a lot of different looks with a lot of different people. I think it's a very underrated defense.
Baker talked about, just going back to Odell for a second, Baker talked about just how valuable it was using some of those down moments in camp just to work one-on-one with Odell. The fact that he didn't do a lot of team stuff. Just from your perspective, what value came from that, and just, you know, how do you feel about that relationship now? Because that was one of the talking points last year. Unfortunately, he gets hurt, but the offense took off.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's been great work on the side. Anytime you can bank those reps, just the rhythm, the timing, the feel of when the receivers are coming out of their breaks with the quarterback, can't get enough of that. You know, it doesn't always have to be in a team setting, ultimately, but we did a lot of that work on the side, and I think those two feel really good about where they are in their chemistry right now.
Has Schwartz been out there enough that he could, like, you know, do some significant stuff in this game? You know, do you think he's got a good grasp?
Yeah, I think he does. He's a smart guy. You know, he studies his butt off and rarely makes mistakes. And, you know, I think in the last few weeks he's been out enough. You know, I feel comfortable putting him in and asking him to contribute in this game.
The Chiefs are so good at just coming out of the gate and getting a lead. And with their offense, I mean, how much pressure does it put on the opponent's offense? It seems like most teams are always trying to catch up.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's a very explosive offense. They have a lot of weapons, obviously, and a great quarterback. We're not playing that offense, though. You know, that's our mindset coming in. We have to take care of our drives. We have to take care of the football, and we have to end with the drives, you know, in the end zone. That's preferable. You know, if we end with a kick, that's not bad, whether it's a field goal or a punt. We just have to protect that football, not turn it over, not worry about their offense, and just worry about our execution.
How much have you guys talked about and worked on your operation, given that, you know, guys have played in front of many fans last year, and then Arrowhead is so loud, has that reputation.
It does have a great reputation. It's something we've definitely addressed. We've worked crowd noise, since the mini camps and the OTAs. It's definitely something we're expecting. It's part of the environment, and we have to be able to play and function and have clean operation within our system regardless of what the situation is. But we're definitely aware of it and excited to get a chance to operate in some, in a full stadium this year.
Alex, how much does it help you guys? Baker called it the bread and butter stuff. That you're coming into year 2 in this system. You guys know each other. The whole offense is back. You know what you want to do, and now you just sort of add wrinkles on top of that.
Yeah, it's always great when you come back into the same system. Like you said, that last year we were kind of feeling our way through. The pandemic didn't help with the no practice in the OTAs. That was tough to put in a system, virtually. So the bumps in the road early, we expect those to be smoothed out this year moving forward. We do have a group that understands what we're trying to accomplish. We have a quarterback that's now in the second year of the system that understands more of the reads and the progressions, and he's been great all spring and in this camp. So we're excited. We've got a great group of guys. That's probably the biggest thing in that group, that offensive group. I love them all. They're all professionals, good people, and work their butts off. So I'm excited about the future of this team.
So what do you expect from Baker in his 4th year and, like you said, 2nd year in the system?
Expect him to play like he did as he finished up the season last year after the bye week. I think he really had great control of what we were trying to accomplish. Did an outstanding job of protecting the football and protecting the team. Had a really good understanding of the system, and the plays and the reads and progressions and the protections as well. So a continuation of that.
And in a matchup like this with Mahomes, who's won an MVP, do you have to talk to Baker at all about don't try to go throw for throw with this guy, just kind of stay within yourself?
Yeah, we're not worried about that side of the ball. Really we aren't. We're focused on doing the right thing in our room and in our side of the ball. And if whatever happens at that point. But we have to take care of the football. We have to be productive and put points on the board regardless of who we're playing. That's our goal.
Staying within himself. Does he have another level to go to, Baker?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's always room for growth. He'd be the first one to tell you that, I believe. We're always looking to improve his game, and whether it be just little small things of cadence to accuracy on throws, we're always looking for improvement, and he's got room. Everybody does.
How much focus is there on Chris Jones on your end?
Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, he's a dominant player. There's no question. When you look at that defense, you start to circle the guys that get the gold star, and he's a gold star player. I mean, he really is. He's powerful, explosive, and I'm not sure where he'll play. He plays up and down the line, be it end at times and inside and rushing situations. So we've definitely highlighted him as a player that we need to be aware of.
First time you went to Arrowhead, were you kind of mind blown how loud it was?
Yeah, no, first time I went to Arrowhead, I was actually dressed and playing for the Chiefs. So I didn't play, thank goodness, because I was nervous. But yeah, no, that place it's a special place. Having been there as a player for the Chiefs and then been there as an opponent, I know how special it is. It's loud, they have great fans, and it's a great opportunity for us to go out and execute in a loud environment.
As a coach and coordinator, Alex, is this week a little more fun because it's actually an opponent? Preseason is a lot of you guys, but is it more fun for a coach to prepare for a game?
Absolutely. No question. Getting ready for the regular season when it really matters, that's when it's a lot of fun, yeah.
Was it Marty you played for?
I did, yes, sir. Yeah.
So with Baker, he started 40-some straight games. This is going to be the 3rd straight year where he's been the opening day starter, which is kind of rare around here.
Right.
Back in 15.
But what do you think has made him so resilient to kind of get to this point?
I always say it about Baker, he's a competitive guy. I mean, he loves it. He loves to compete. He loves to be great, and he strives for it, and he works really hard at it. And I think that's why you've seen him, have success here as of late.
You're up.
All right, good stuff from AVP there. I mean, take advantage of this, guys, because this ain't going to happen again where you're bringing everybody back.
No, and that's why this is an exciting and rare situation for the Cleveland Browns, and an incredible opportunity as well.
What's going on with my chair?
You just fell down a little bit. You're
now.
short.
What's happened?
I saw something like that happen on Browns Live from training camp.
I have those all in my DVR.
That didn't look like Beau Bishop.
Well,
no, that did
you
not
do.
look like.
Do we have
Beau eats salad?
I'm like, it's a real drop.
I think you need to get on the handle on the side.
I can never get that thing to work.
And then
feels like
have it pop up again.
Irregardless, we do have some news.
We do have some news. Yeah, the Browns have released cut Greg Senat, the tackle from the injured reserve. That's being reported by local reporters as well as national, like Aaron Wilson. But Greg Senat was a guy who had a great preseason, got injured in that last game against Atlanta, was placed on injured reserve, and now he is a free agent, free to sign with anyone else. So
there you go.
Kind of what happened with Cody Parkey, placed on IR, cut by the Browns, and now a free agent.
There you go. And there you go on that front. We're getting a lot on the social about this, the Fox poll with the thing. Love all of you, but I'm not worried about it.
No.
It's Chiefs week.
Right.
We'll do fan base. We can do fan base rankings. We're going to be number one. We do those in June, man.
Yes. Right.
Chiefs
We're
game.
focused. We're
dialed in. We're breaking down things. Plowing
We told
through.
you.
I mean, it's
come on.
That's
it
where
would be
we're
nice
at.
to win. Well,
For
you're
sure,
listen,
but you back. Come
once
on.
Browns Daily's over, if you want to throw a few clicks that way, go ahead.
Go right
Click.
ahead. Knock yourselves out. You're safe.
Safe, pal.
We got the Chiefs, man. Greg Rosenthal, one of the interesting things he does every year is his quarterback index. He does it heading into week one. We'll tell you where Baker is on that. We'll get into the matchups of our offense versus our defense and go behind enemy lines with Adam Teicher coming up here in about a half hour from now. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Beau for my guys at Weather Seal Home Services. Boy, do you have a leaky roof? Loose shingles, roof discoloration. Don't head into winter. It is coming, after all, with a bad roof. Call my guys at Weather Seal Home Services right now. Get a beautiful new roof before the season ends, plus choose between free gutters or gutter guard. Also get up to 7 years, 0 interest with approved credit. Trust in Weather Seal to do the job right for the best price and the lowest monthly payments. Call 877-351-SEAL or go to weathersealhomeservices.com. Do we have to eat crow right away? Because now we have front office luminaries getting,
I don't know about crow eating.
ABs.
Listen, I retweeted it out.
The lovely bride of AB is involved now in this thing. We got to get this sorted out. Where are we at?
Brittenberry is fired up, and she said,
Not having it.
I didn't even know this existed, and now my competitive spirit is very stressed out about this. I don't know what this is, but I also don't want to lose. And she's got everybody getting fired up. She got Leo from Wolf of Wall Street gifts going. And she said, so everybody get out there and vote. Who cares? It's about competing. It's about winning. Let's win.
All right, what is this? Let's get all into it here. Oh my gosh, we've tweeted it out.
Oh yeah,
the organizational social has tweeted it out.
We're into it, so it's the final.
Fox, this is the final.
Us and the Bills.
Right,
the Bills
fine.
were apparently way ahead, and now we have taken the lead.
103,000 votes. There's 2 hours left. We have a slim margin, 50.2 to 49.8.
Yeah, but we were way down. A massive comeback by the Browns.
Listen.
Didn't we have on the desk for a while? Didn't we have one of those awards?
Yeah. Do we have an award? Gimmy's jumped right out.
Gimme, he's on it.
Gimmy's got it. Get it out here, Gibby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Get it out. Oh,
do a parade. Parade around with
Bring
it,
it for
Gibby.
the people.
Yeah.
Gibby, give the people what they want. Look at that. Oh, nice strut out of you. There it is. So this was 2019.
Right.
Oh, so this is what's at stake.
Yeah.
All right, 2019.
Yeah, we have it here.
Yeah,
there it is.
2019.
I'm fairly confident I was supposed to return that like 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Now it's
and
on
I'm
YouTube.
Like, no, that's in here with a lot of
Return
other
it to who?
Fun little
Who
pieces.
would you
of
give it to?
Who are you returning it to?
Go up to next time you
I
see.
don't know if they're here anymore.
No, touche. Next time you see Depot, just go listen. With all of your accomplishments, I know that this has been. I feel bad that we've taken this one from you.
I think we should give it to him next time he's in the studio.
Yeah, next time we see Depot, we'll give it to him. But no, we've won this, so they must not have done it last year. We would have won it last year too.
Our good friend Kevin Costa said, the poll is fun and about bringing us together for some pure joy. None of us actually think the Bills have a better fan base. Let's go. All right.
Well, we're in.
We're in.
We're in. We
vote.
By the way,
we've got the trophy. Let's go.
Sitting here doing the show with a 2-time Emmy winner, might as well have some awards here.
Some
up
real,
here. Little more awards. A nice glass. I know you like the gold. Fine, it's great. But look at this. You're safe, pal.
Is that diamond? Is that one giant diamond?
It's a giant diamond. In fact, it is. De Beers. We got it straight from De Beers.
That's. Do
you remember you used to see those De Beers commercials?
Oh yeah, loved the De Beers ad.
You love a De Beers. There you go. So there you go. So we've won it, and
we'll
won
win
it before,
again.
and we'll win it again.
We're gonna win
no
it again.
No big deal. It's what we do. Duh. Lots of winning going on around here. I forgot that this is why.
Poor the notorious VIC leaves here, goes to Buffalo, and they just can't get any dubs.
With all due respect, and there is a kinship between us and Buffalo,
of course.
Despite the fact that, and
right now it's a
regardless
of
blood
feud.
If Notorious was there or not, the man who birthed the show from its loins.
That's right.
But what I would say is, with all due respect, we did put Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the
would be
top
1-0
accomplishments.
us.
Yeah, that's one of the top accomplishments by any fan base in the history of
in fan base voting, polling, or
that's right.
measuring of fan greatness.
Yeah,
that happened.
That's on our. That's the first thing that's on the Browns fans Hall of Fame.
Yes,
deal.
it's on the Browns fan wiki. Peyton Hillis voted on the cover of Madden. Yeah. Done. Next.
I wonder if the guy who got
how do you
Browns
trump that?
Fan who got that you was talking your ear off, and you were thrilled to meet him at
I was
the day
so
we were
excited.
at First Energy Stadium.
I'm so excited.
You're lobbying to get him on Browns Live.
Well, I just
think
think
it didn't work out.
I think at some point that we ought to give a little more voice to our most ardent fans.
That's what Browns Live is all about.
I've been a proponent of it for a long time.
We take fan questions using the hashtag Browns Live, and we'll continue to do so during the season. And the season debut of Browns Live, regular season, tonight. Me, the Hoff, Kevin Stefanski, Kareem Hunt. Your questions.
That's a lot of luminaries on that show, Gibby.
Well, it's week one.
Well, we have the Kevin Stefanski show tonight with Coach and Jedrick Wills.
Yes.
You two.
Kareem Hunt has become one of the true friends of the program. He is so great. He's on all the time.
There's
We've had
no
him
doubt.
on all the time.
No doubt in my mind.
I look forward. So what I will do is I got to coach my little guy football.
Mm-hmm.
I'll race home from that. I'll do
Browns Live.
I'll do Stefanski, not Browns Live.
I think Browns Live might air before Stefanski.
No, but I won't be on Browns Live.
No, but
you're a part of it.
You'll be
so I'm giving you
hopefully
chronologically how my night will go. Football, race in, Stefanski, NFL opener, DVR, Browns Live.
First thing when you wake up Friday morning. Try to get
or
ready.
before I go to bed.
What better nightcap?
Just to see you. There are no better nightcaps.
A little Browns Live. Maybe
Speaking of nightcaps,
maybe a little bourbon.
A little bit of that. You see the Hoff where he is?
Just
he was in Colorado.
I said, I think you've gone to heaven, Hoff.
I think you did. He's in Colorado this week. I saw him in Colorado, backpacking around, doing some outdoorsy stuff. Great time to go out west, by the way, because all the kids, you can kind of run around, do whatever you want.
He was actually,
there's no fire.
in my home state.
I don't believe so.
No, he was wrong about that?
I don't know that
he texted
somebody
me that
said
I'm in Montana.
He texted you that he's in Montana?
Yeah, last week. Yeah.
Why would the Hoff not ask me about where to go in Montana?
Because it's my home state. Duh.
Sad. Hate to see it. Why would he not text you?
He did.
Where to go?
I think that he was.
What did he say?
Hold.
Because the lake that he referenced is Colorado.
Cheers from the Clark Fork River.
Oh,
in Montana.
he was. He's in Missoula.
Yeah, that's what I said. I love Missoula this time of year.
You hate to see that. I'm a little bit hurt. I'm hurt for you.
By the way, give a laugh.
He loved that. He loved
so
that all the way
that
through.
I think it made it into our microphones.
I think it did. I'm hurt for you that he wouldn't ask you for your expertise.
He did. I recommended the Clark
restaurant.
Fork River.
Interesting. You did?
Yeah, love it. Lovely this time of year. Said it's great for some canoeing with the children.
What was your, the Clark Fork, of course, known for one specific fish that you would fish for in the Clark Fork. When as a kid, what would be that fish that you caught?
Rainbow trout. A good fly fishing spot, I'm told.
Fantastic.
Is it? Is it a good fly fishing spot?
It's good.
What fish would I, if I was, I don't want to reveal all my Montana
Not all
knowledge
your
at
secrets.
once.
No.
We beat a Power 5 conference for the first time since 1920 when we took down the Huskies. I'm still riding high off that. Go Grizzlies, go. I'm not worried about fish. Grizzlies eat fish. They eat salmon, by the way.
There you go. There you go on that front.
Is that what I'm getting out of this river?
A lot of perch.
Walleye?
Walleye and
Some
perch
walleye?
in the Clark Fork, yeah. All right, Greg Rosenthal, his first quarterback index of the year. Our guy is 14, so it goes Mahomes, Rodgers, Allen. Brady is fourth on this list. I don't understand. That seems impossible that Brady would somehow be fourth.
How? Why do we do things like this?
Why do we do stuff like this? To get us to talk about it, I guess.
Ric Flair, no, to be the man, you've got to beat the man.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady outdueled Patrick Mahomes the last time he was there.
Of course, yeah. Of course. And Rodgers, by the way.
Back to back. Oh, and Breeze.
And Breeze, by the way.
Retired.
Correct. They have Lamar 5. He's got Lamar 5. I think that's too high. Ben is 16. Burrow 26, I suppose, with injury, but you can't have Burrow below Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and Mac Jones. You just can't. I mean, it's not right now. He has Sam Darnold the worst. You know that they play? Panthers and Jets play week 1?
They do. The Darnold revenge game, and this is more bulletin board material for him. Okay, I have the one thing that I have a real problem with on this list. First of all, Darnold shouldn't be 32nd. I have a problem with that. Beyond that, and maybe Mac Jones ends up being great. Maybe. I'm not saying that he won't. Maybe Zach Wilson ends up being great, but we got Zach Wilson ahead of Trevor Lawrence already.
Right. No one would take him over Trevor Lawrence. Would have taken him over
And we're acting like Joe Burrow is just a crud. Like, the whole commentary is I worry about the offensive line. I worry about the arm strength. I watched him play 2 very good games against our team, and I had no problem with that. I worry about Zach Taylor. I don't know. I mean, maybe you're worried about his knee, but I still think Joe Burrow's pretty good. I do like that Jameis is up at 19, though. That made me happy. That was the one thing that I enjoyed here. But Ryan Fitzpatrick at 17? Are we sure about that?
Sure? Sure about that?
We sure about that?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If Social Security benefits have been denied, call the disability lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Elk and Oak is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll do the offense versus their defense matchup coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. because obviously
that's what you
growing
grew
up in
with.
the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I did not realize that they spawned, and got that far west into the mountains.
No, I was just
unaware
trying
of
to throw a fish that I knew you would know.
that. That's nice of you. Very, very kind
You're
of you.
more of a boat fisherman. I'm a fly fisherman.
Right.
My giant galoshes, my waders, as they were.
That's it. All
You guys
right.
ready?
Oh, that wasn't up?
We're
That was
ready. Go
gold.
ahead.
No. Okay, you are up.
Are you going to try and do it again? Because we just had a great moment that we thought was on air, but it wasn't.
Was it on the stream at least?
Oh, if you're on the stream, you got to know, baby.
Good. All right.
Stream.
At least the
I don't know
streamers.
what we were
Easter
doing.
egg.
Easter egg for the streamers. Enjoy yourselves.
YouTube.com/Browns. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
check that out. You're welcome. You're going to enjoy that. That little nugget where the whole time we thought we were on air and talked for about a minute and a half, not knowing that we weren't. So you have that to look forward to, which is nice. Like me, these things are all available on DVR, so you can always go back and watch those. We recommend that you do that.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the matchup. Our offense versus the Chiefs' defense, and we've spent so much time going the other way. It's time for the good doctor.
All right, Chiefs defense last year. Again, these things don't necessarily carry over. Last year, 16th in net yards per game, 358.3. The Browns were at 358.4, believe it or not. So very similar there. Our offense, though, produced 369.6. Yards per play, they were at 5.6, a little bit higher than the Browns were at 5.5. Defensively, offensively, the Browns were at 5.8. They gave up 22.6 points per game. That was tied for 10th. If there was an Achilles heel, though, in their defense 1 year ago, it was this. 76.6% red zone touchdown percentage allowed, last in the National Football League. Last in the National Football League. But this is a good defense, and it is one that the Browns are going to have their hands full working against. Now, we said Honey Badger not in the practicing yet, but he's a guy who was always ready to play. I thought they made a big move this offseason.
All right.
When they signed Jarran Reed.
Okay.
Jarran Reed had been with the Seattle Seahawks for quite some time and was one of the better interior pass rushers in the National Football League. This is a guy we're talking about in his time with the Seahawks. He's put up 22 sacks, and in 2018, he had 10.5 sacks. Last year, 6.5 sacks. So he's averaging, 6.5, 19, 20, about 6.5, 7 sacks a year from the interior. That's good. That allowed them to put Chris Jones out on the outside, and they're going to be next to each other a lot. So that Chris Jones, Jarran Reed on one side, and then Frank Clark coming off the end on the other side, that's a pretty good four-man pass rush unit, especially those three who really stand out. Their linebackers, this is where they're not strong. Willie Gay is out. We know he's on the injured reserve. So you're going to see Ben Neiman, Anthony Hitchens, and then Nick Bolton, who was their rookie drafted out of Missouri, who's a very good run-stopping linebacker, but we don't know about him in coverage yet, certainly not in the National Football League. That's going to be an area for the Browns to attack. They've got the Isses in the cornerback room. They've got Chavarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed. They've got Mike Hughes as well. And then on the back end, Sorensen, who had that nasty hit on Hollywood Higgins last year that should have been flagged.
Yep.
And the Honey Badger as well. Juan Thornhill there. Former first-round pick of the Giants, DeAndre Baker with the Chiefs as well in that cornerback room. So good secondary. They know how to get their hands on the football. Good pass rush up front. If there's any question mark right now about this team, it's going to be because Derek Natty is a good defensive tackle. But the questions are around their linebackers. And I think for the Browns, you're going to have to try to really attack them in the ground game with your running backs and try to get matchups of the tight ends or slot receivers, a Jarvis or a running back in space against these linebackers. And I think that's where the Browns can have some success.
The matchup that no one's talking about that they should be is what?
I really think it's the quality. We made so much of a big deal about our pass rush against their offensive line. I think it's their defensive line. Chris Jones is one of the best players in football. He's one of the best defensive linemen in football. And he doesn't always get the recognition he deserves. Back-to-back trips to the Pro Bowl. Last 3 years, he's racked up 32 sacks. I'll say that again. Chris Jones has 32 sacks. And the last time he got to play a little bit more on the outside was 2018, 15.5 sacks that season. Chris Jones is a player. So you got Chris Jones, and he's big too. So it's going to be tough to run on the edges at Chris Jones. He's dropped some weight. He was 310. I think he's dropped it into the high 200s now. But he is still going to be a handful. And so that matchup of Jones and Jaron Reed and Noddy and Frank Clark against our great offensive line, I think that's what nobody's focused on that. But they can be dangerous up front, and we need to make sure we handle our business in the run game, but also, obviously, in the pass protection game.
You see, though, when we get to this side of the ball where the advantage that we have defensive front versus their offensive line, either way, them versus us versus them, there is not that advantage anywhere else on the football field.
Correct.
Everything else is very close. We talk about how good their defensive line is. I think we have the best offensive line in football.
Yes.
You think about our tight ends against their linebackers. I like that. I like that slight advantage for us. I like our receiver. I like our two backs against anybody.
Yes.
But you like that a lot. There's been so much talk about this defense. I think last year Kevin Stefanski coached offensive football knowing that he needed to protect his defense. I think this year he coaches offensive football knowing he doesn't have to, and I think that's a tremendous benefit. I don't know what that's going to look like. We've hypothesized this offseason. Could that mean tempo? What does it mean? I think it's a more fearless approach, and let's remember how fearless he was a year ago. I think you're going to see more gambling, more risking out of us, all because you feel good about what you have on the other side of the ball, something he protected a year ago. What this looks like for us, I can't wait to see.
No, and that's what's going to be exciting about it is that we have even new wrinkles to add onto a very efficient and effective offense with tremendous skill talent everywhere, an excellent young quarterback, and as you mentioned, probably the best offensive line in the league. We have the best offensive line. We have the best running back tandem in the league. I think we have a very stout wide receiver room with Odell back and Anthony Schwartz and DPJ's emergence and Hollywood Higgins and Jarvis Landry. And you've got a couple kind of gadget guys. You got the Demetric Felton, and I think Schwartz will be used, to stretch the field vertically and horizontally as well. You've got an excellent tight end room. It's a very exciting thing, I think, quite frankly, for this offense to be at the end of the year regarded like the Chiefs are.
Yeah.
In terms of our just explosiveness, our ability to hit big plays, our ability to produce points every time we've got the football. We should be an elite offense.
Yeah,
we should be.
It's like I said yesterday on the show. Like I think sometimes when we think back, we forget that Odell's here because we were so good last year without that threat, and now it's not only Odell, it's Anthony Schwartz. I think David Njoku has a chance to have a big season down the middle of the field with this team. I don't think it's a coincidence that a year ago he's going, well, maybe I don't want to be here, to now, I want to be here because he sees what's going to happen for him. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. So, I think that's stuff to watch. Obviously, the one you're all waiting for is, did we do enough defensively to hang with them, to give yourself a chance? To your point, though, I don't know if people remember, it's 22-17 a year ago.
And yes, Mahomes did get knocked out.
He did.
And he had to come in, but it's not like they were racing up and down the field against us in that game. And so, I like this defense has to match, but I think our offense has the chance to take a big leap. And I think, there are a lot of people on the offensive side of the ball that are still probably thinking about the series when we got the ball back with 8 minutes, down 5. And we were not able to even produce one first down and ended up losing a lot of clock and a timeout there. One thing, that when you play this Chiefs team, something that didn't used to be true about the Browns, which is when you got an opponent in 3rd and long against the Browns last year, we were not necessarily a great defense at stopping. The Chiefs are.
Yep.
You do not want to be in 3rd and longs against this defense. The Honey Badger is an absolutely dynamic weapon that knows how to just get his hands on the football.
It's crazy. He's been on 3 teams. Absolutely crazy.
Wild.
I want to tell you about my friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. And there's no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's mobile app ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. When it comes to winning on game day, Cane's rules. One love and a proud sponsor of our friends at Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucs. Behind enemy lines with Adam Teicher up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop, Nathan Zegura with you here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time to go behind enemy lines, one of our favorites, ESPN NFL Nation Chiefs reporter Adam Teicher joining us on the hotline. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time. Let's just start with an injury update, where we stand with Honey Badger, some of the other injuries with the Chiefs going into Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, still no practice for Tyrann Mathieu. He's been out for probably about 10 days now. He's on the COVID list. So, the clock is ticking for him, for sure. He's got to test positive. Since he is vaccinated, he's got to test positive twice within a 24-hour period and be free of symptoms, and then he can come back and play. So we'll see with him. Other than that, the Chiefs should be in pretty good shape. They got a backup center who probably won't be available on Sunday, but other than that, I think they'll be in good shape.
Adam, when you look at this Chiefs team, the changes up front, obviously the offensive line, due to the injuries, struggled in the Super Bowl against the Bucs. 3 rookies. Are they really starting 3 rookies? And if so, what do you make of this new offensive line that they've constructed?
Yeah, they 2 draft picks and a guy who was a draft pick last year who opted out in the season. So, in effect, he's a rookie as well. The Chiefs showed pretty well in the preseason. That'll be different than what they see on Sunday against the Browns for sure. But I know the Chiefs were very encouraged by what they saw from this group in the preseason. These 3 rookies we've talked about, all of them played at a high level in college in terms of a Power 5 team. All played a lot of seasons, multiple 25, 30, 40 games as a starter, that kind of thing. So, they have played a lot of football, but still they're rookies, so we'll see. And the other thing to look for from the offensive line is that Orlando Brown, trying to establish himself now as a left tackle after playing mostly right tackle for the Browns. The Chiefs are confident that he can handle that spot, and we'll see if they're right or not. I mean, it's kind of a big baptism for him in that regard, because he's going to be going against Myles Garrett on Sunday. So we'll see how much help the Chiefs give him and whether he can handle that job. And because as you guys know, Myles Garrett has the potential to wreck the Chiefs' day if they don't have that locked down.
Adam, what was this offseason like in Kansas City around the fan base? You almost felt 10 feet tall and bulletproof going into that Super Bowl, and Mahomes felt like Superman anytime he was on the field. And then the Bucs defensive line did what it did, and they've had to hear about it all offseason. They've obviously remade their offensive line. Knowing as smart as this organization is, my guess is they put in other stopgaps to make sure even when there is a disadvantage up front, they don't put themselves in that position again. What's it been like for the organization?
Yeah, well, it was a shock. I mean, a lot of guys, hey, it's one thing to lose the game. They feel like that could happen at any given week, but the way they played, I mean, Pat Mahomes has been starting for 3 years. The Chiefs have not lost a game by more than 1 score since he's been their starter, and then to have this where they didn't score a touchdown, they just got totally handled on both sides of the ball. That was kind of a shock. So, I think the offseason would have been different for the Chiefs had they been competitive in that game. But I feel like that was a little bit of a wake-up call. They had a lot of work to do. The offensive line rebuild was not necessarily a big reaction to the Super Bowl, because this was overdue. The Chiefs had not spent many resources in terms of high draft picks or free agent money on their offensive line. They had to do something, and knew during the season they were going to have to cough up some money and spend some draft picks on their offensive line. But the rest of it, I feel like the Chiefs felt like was a response to what happened that day. They got handled, and that was a sign they had some work to do here on the roster.
When you think about, the offensive line and what happened in the Super Bowl, one thing that kind of evaporated as that season went on was the presence of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who, at least from a total yardage standpoint, got off to an excellent start in the first 6 games. Then Le'Veon Bell joined the roster, and then he kind of disappeared, battled some injuries certainly throughout the year, and battled one, I guess, in the preseason again, but it sounds like he's good to go. Are you expecting him to take a major step forward and to be a bigger part of their offense this season?
I think he'll have more impact. I mean, it's not like he had a bad rookie year. I mean, he rushed for over 800 yards and caught, I think it's 35, 36 passes, which isn't bad for a guy who missed, I think, 3 games because of injuries. But there just wasn't an impact. You know, he had a couple big games, and other than that, he was just sort of there. And I think the Chiefs are expecting a bigger impact from him. And, you know, everybody talks about the offensive line changes as aimed at better protecting Patrick Mahomes. And certainly that was a job number one with all the offensive line rebuild. But the Chiefs were also thinking this is going to improve their running game. And they had a lot of trouble last year running the ball in short yardage and goal line situations. That's why you saw these wacky plays from them when they were near the opponent's goal line last year, all these trick plays, because they felt like they couldn't run the ball. I mean, opponents were sitting on their passing game and just were daring the Chiefs to run the ball, and they couldn't do it. So the Chiefs felt like they had to do something there. So they feel like this is going to have an impact on their running game as well. And as far as the receivers, there's some slack to be picked up. Sammy Watkins is gone. The Chiefs didn't add another wide receiver, so they're going with the same group minus Sammy Watkins there this year. And there's some slack to be picked up there, and maybe Edwards-Helaire can be a guy who shares in that or even leads in that.
Adam, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, I think one of the more underrated, or at least not talked about as much as maybe I think it should be talked about at moves, was bringing Jaron Reed in and then consequently kicking Chris Jones back more to the outside in this defensive front. What have you seen from Jones now that he's kind of lined up more as an end rather than inside? As he's my knee hit my mic. Sorry about that. As he's lined up outside as an end, where he can really be more of a pass rusher, and he's elite in that regard. And then getting Reed, who's one of the better interior pass rushers in the league, in.
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to be moving Chris Jones around, and he's going to be lining up in a variety of spots, both inside and out. But I think at the end of the year, he's going to have more pass rush opportunities from the edge. That was sort of the idea in signing Jaron Reed. So the Chiefs are pretty happy with Reed's acquisition, that he can do some of the things with that interior pass rush that Chris Jones did for so many years, and freeing Jones up to come from the edge. So that's one of the things to look for on Sundays. Where's Chris Jones? What matchups are the Chiefs looking to get for him, and how effective he is with those? But Jones looked pretty good in camp. He played in 2 of the 3 preseason games. He didn't get a lot of snaps. I think 18 snaps total, and had a couple sacks. So, if that tells you anything,
pretty good.
He's primed for a big season.
Adam Teicher, our guest, excellently covers the Chiefs for ESPN's NFL Nation. Adam, what is a matchup in this one on Sunday that you'll be paying attention to that maybe isn't being talked about enough?
Well, I was going to say the Orlando Brown-Myles Garrett matchup. That's getting some talk, at least out here, because it's not really sure how Orlando Brown is going to fare in this type of offensive system at left tackle. There are a lot of teams around the league who just didn't think Orlando Brown could play left tackle in a passing offense. I mean, he got the job done for the Ravens the last half of last season, but that's a different style of offense than what the Chiefs run. The Chiefs don't help their tackles a lot with tight ends and backs. I mean, they sort of leave those guys to fend for themselves. So we'll see whether Orlando Brown can hold up, and we're going to find out real fast how he does. I'm eager to see whether the Chiefs provide him some help and kind of get out of what they do or what they like to do. They like to send 5 guys out into the patterns most of the time. So I'm curious to see how the Chiefs help Orlando Brown against Myles Garrett, because that's kind of made to me a pivotal matchup. I mean, if this is a big game for Garrett, I think the Browns have a great chance to win. And if the Chiefs can neutralize him and keep him away from Mahomes, I feel like the Chiefs have an excellent chance to win.
Yeah, getting to Patrick Mahomes, disrupting him is going to be key on the other side for the defense. What can you tell us about the linebackers? Willie Gay, we know, is out. Is that an area of concern, excitement? We just don't know as it relates to this Chiefs defense, because we know about the players on the back end and we know about the guys up front.
Yeah, the Chiefs have lacked playmakers at linebacker. They had a Pro Bowler by the name of Derek Johnson, but he's been gone, I think, 2 or 3 years at least. I think 3 years. He was great all-around linebacker, particularly in the coverage part of it. They really haven't had a playmaker at linebacker since then. They've drafted in the last 2 years a linebacker each time in the second round. Last year was Willie Gay. He had a great camp. Looked like he was headed for a big year. He's on the IR now. He won't play on Sunday. They drafted rookie Nick Bolton out of Missouri. He's their top draft pick in the second round this year. Bolton looked pretty good in camp, but the Chiefs have Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, has a high bar for rookies. He wants them to prove it over and over and over and over again that they know what they can do. They know what they're doing and can handle their assignments. So we'll see where the Chiefs are with Bolton in that regard. They say he's going to play at least some on Sunday in some of their packages, and maybe all of them. I don't know how much he's going to play, but that's another guy to keep an eye on. He can, how are the Browns going to work him with those running backs? Are they going to try to confuse him and get him out of position? Going to be interesting to see. That's another thing to look for, how much he plays and what the Browns try to do with that, the matchups that they get there.
Adam, you're the best. Thanks for your time today, bud.
Hey, anytime, guys.
All right, that's our buddy Adam Teicher, covers the Chiefs for ESPN Nation. Be sure to catch the Kevin Stefanski Show, presented by Howard Hanna, tonight at 7 on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Coach and Jedrick Wills will join us tonight. We have a game tonight.
Yes.
A score.
1 minute.
Debut
is required tonight.
Like today.
We got time. The music just started.
I feel like we have 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's plenty of time. Tons of time. Look.
Well, Zegura was doing the dramatic pause again.
You're not on, I don't think.
Yeah,
we on right now?
Your knee
Now
hit it
you're
again?
on. Now you're on. Bucks 31. Boys 21. Same. Tomorrow. It's a football Friday. Jarvis.
Live via the telly.
Over-unders and scores.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Season awards.
Oh, boy. A real treat.
Oh, boy.
Love to see
Football's back. Stefanski Show tonight. Browns live tonight.